everybody, and welcome into Blue Jays Today, where you boys always have something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog.
And I'm your host, Adam Peddle. And today, guys, the Blue Jays have signed Anthony Santander. We've got the full details of his contract, and as well, we're going to talk about what exactly does this mean for the Toronto Blue Jays, and are they done yet? We've had some reports come out that maybe the Blue Jays aren't, in fact, done yet, and there could be some more moves coming. Before we get into it, guys, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Blue Jays Today. So first things first, we had a whole breakdown and reaction live on our Blue Jays Today show just moments ago. We thought we'd come up with a podcast breaking down everything in detail, but off the top here, Nick, thoughts on Anthony Santander signing?
Amazing, right? We needed to get the home runs. We got the home runs, 44 last year. This guy is a stud, and what I love even more is the contract. Like, we were thinking that we were going to have to go way over $100 million to get this guy. That is not the case, everybody. Shout out to Ken Rosenthal right here tweeting about the deals. It is a 5-year deal, $92.5 million with club option for the 6th season. Now, this gets a little convoluted here because apparently he can opt out after the 3rd year. There's been a little speculation on that as well because Ari Alexander was saying the 4th year. When that gets confirmed, maybe we'll pin a comment in the comments down below. But either way, Anthony Santander has the capability to opt out after either the 3rd or 4th year, but the Toronto Blue Jays can say, void all that completely and give him an additional year after that, and that would turn into a 6-year deal for $110 million. Effectively, to really boil this down, it's a 5-year deal, but if he's playing really good, it's going to be a 6-year deal. Yeah. So that is where we're at right now, and I couldn't be happier because finally we have some protection for Guerrero.
Yes, we do, man. I mean, we know Anthony Santander is a great hitter in his own right. Last year, hitting 44 home runs, that was a career high. Yeah, the batting average dipped below a little bit, below the 240 mark, but the OPS was still up there, and we need somebody to protect Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and hit some dang home runs, and this is huge. And I like that contract too, because when you're looking at a contract like George Springer, for example, and it's aging poorly, well, we're trapped. We can't get out of it. And we knew after year 3 that we wanted to get the hell out of it. Well, Anthony Santander, you could. And with the way it's built right now, it's only roughly a little bit more than $18 million per year. So even if you are like, it's bad, he might stay in it, but at least it's not costing you a whole lot of money.
Dude, in today's MLB, that's actually chump change. Yeah. For a guy that could actively be hitting 30 bombs a year, I'm shocked that they were able to get a average annual value that low. So honestly, credit where credit is due. Hats off to Ross Atkins. Let's take a look at this lineup, everybody, because it does look a lot sexier with Anthony Santander in it. Now, this is according to Fangraphs. This is what they're projecting right now. Things will change, and hopefully, as we said, more moves are coming. We're going to get into that very soon. So if you hit that like button, smash the subscribe button, and stay tuned to the end, because maybe Pete Alonso, maybe Alex Bregman could be fitting into this. But as of right now, you got George Springer leading off, Guerrero 2, Santander 3, and Bo Bichette 4. Now, I do think an argument can be made for potentially, like, moving Bo Bichette up to that leadoff spot instead of George Springer. Either way, though, wherever Guerrero is, Santander is going to be right behind him. So if Guerrero's 3, Santander's 4. If Guerrero's 2, he's 3, right? That is what the lineup is going to look like, at least to start, I believe.
Yeah, and I really do think it's a good idea to swap out George Springer right there and put up Bo Bichette. Put your best guys at the top of the lineup, right? And Anthony Santander, the beautiful thing about him is we've been looking for that lefty for years now. Great thing about him is he's a switch hitter, so he can move over to the left side of the plate with a righty on the bump, and then if somebody else comes in, a lefty comes out later in the game, well, boom, he can be a righty. So for me, it's great. He's versatile. He's got power. He can easily slot up in the top part of the lineup. Now, if I'm looking at this lineup right now, we did need a power bat, which what we got.
Yep.
But, I'm still, maybe this is, I'm thinking about the past days of Blue Jays when they were amazing and they were slugging and they had guys like Randall Grichuk batting 8th with a 750 OPS, and it was phenomenal. But I still think there's a little bit of work need to be done, whether it be free agency, whether it be a breakout from guys like, Andres Jimenez, for example, who we traded for, who had a great year in the past, or maybe an Orvis Martinez or a Will Wagner or somebody of that nature. We needed somebody to break out in a way to add a little bit more depth, because after the top 3, as you could see, it gets a little bit dicey.
Sure, yeah, I do think that more work needs to be done, but free agency isn't over yet, and that is why we have got to talk about what Hector Gomez just tweeted out, everybody. Santander is a big move, but it might not be the only move that the Toronto Blue Jays are making to add to that lineup. He's saying that the Jays aren't done. There are more moves to come, and he's not the only one. Right after this signing went down, John Morosi went on to MLB Network, and he said it gives them a lot of balance, referring to the lineup. And then he also said, I don't think that they're totally done just yet. Whoa, time for a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video. Hit your picks and knock it out of the park with Betway. Scan the QR code down below to join the action. Only available in Ontario. Must be 19 years of older to participate. Please play responsibly. Now, everyone, back to the content. He went on to bring up a couple different names that we've got to highlight right here. Jurickson Profar. Phenomenal season last year. Big breakout year for him. He is still on the market, and he's not necessarily as, coveted as a Pete Alonso or an Alex Bregman or something like that, but you just went out and you got your big fish for that lineup, and that is Anthony Santander. Jurickson Profar, to me, actually makes a ton of sense because he can get on base. He had a 380 on base last year. He's not going to totally break the bank either, and he's that nice complementary piece that has a lot of high upside. This, to me, would be a slam dunk for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, and to John Morosi's report, apparently the Blue Jays have had interest. Now, I know that might not mean a lot to a lot of you guys, but
it should mean something now because it finally, we got it across the finish line.
1 of 20, 1 of 20 finally got through.
I have faith again. I have faith again. I have hope again. It felt like we were cursed. Somebody took our money. Who's to say that Jurickson Profar doesn't want to take it too?
Maybe, right? I mean, we'll see how it all turns out, but that's a guy that the Blue Jays are interested in. I love everything you said about him. Very good, easy fit. Now, Pete Alonso's another guy. Apparently, we were super aggressive in on him. Like, honestly, Pete Alonso, Santander, those are the two guys that I was looking at thinking, well, we're going to land one of these guys based on how aggressive they've been and how the market has kind of turned towards them going towards the Blue Jays, right? Pete Alonso kind of got ousted by the Mets right now. He's not going to be a New York Met to our knowledge, excuse me. But, hey, if you go get somebody like a Pete Alonso, like the big piece was Santander for 90 mil, but Pete Alonso's kind of in that same range right now. Like, there's a lot of reports out there thinking that he's going to get a 3-year, 90 mil deal, right? If that's the case, well, those are kind of two good, big contracts for sure, but it wouldn't necessarily break the bank like Soto or Vladdy or Corbin Burns. Like, adding two of those guys maybe could be realistic.
No, it's not impossible. Now, I would argue that I personally think that either Jurickson Profar or alternatively the other guy that we need to bring up here, Alex Bregman, are more likely simply because they provide a bit more contact, and I think that we got our quote-unquote power hitter in Anthony Santander, and it would feel a little bit like you're doubling into the same pot right now if you go into Pete Alonso, and that just feels so outside of what Ross Atkins typically does. That being said, I wouldn't be shocked. Alex Bregman, however, though, we know that this is the type of player that Ross Atkins likes. Great defense, won a Gold Glove last year, and similarly to Jurickson Profar, very good on base. His career on base is .366. The guy takes walks like nobody's business. So those right now are the three offensive players that the Blue Jays are looking at. We also do need to bring up that they were recently linked to Max Scherzer, which could happen. You never know. Wouldn't be shocked if that went down. I mean, at this point, nothing would shock me with the Toronto Blue Jays. Right. But all of that being said, more moves are still coming. And I think, honestly, the most important move to me, which this should impact a lot, is a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. extension. This is somebody that you can go to Guerrero with and you can say, all right, we got you a guy to play with for the next 5 years. We got you somebody to protect you in that lineup for the next 5 years. Now, I'm not saying it's going to lower his price or anything like that. Yeah. But it might just make him feel that much better about staying in Toronto and light a little bit more of a fire under those extension talks.
Yeah, I think it will definitely help. I mean, Vladdy does want to be a Blue Jay, and he is engaging with conversations already. So I think it will help just a little bit. But hell, I mean, I think even signing someone like Anthony Santander is going to help us bring in another guy. Like, I want to bring it back to Pete Alonso or even Alex Bregman right there. Like, those guys are guys looking for 3, 4, 5, 6 year deals, right? Talking about Alex Bregman. Like, getting someone like Anthony Santander, it's like, okay, well, maybe you don't have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. locked down, but at least I know you've got somebody else I can bat with in that lineup. It makes it a little bit more of an incentive for them to sign. But yeah, I agree. Like, everything kind of works together. It's like a snowball effect. So I'm hoping that we get one of these kind of locked down and done. Do you think that there is going to be one more move, or do you think that
I think that
we might
there's
get disappointed?
I think that there is going to be another move based on the reports that we just heard from Hector Gomez and John Morosi. I think that they're going to do something. I can't assure and promise you guys that it's going to be of the caliber of Pete Alonso or Alex Bregman necessarily, but Jurickson Profar really does check a lot of boxes for me. I wouldn't be shocked to see a starting pitcher like Max Scherzer or somebody of that caliber. They're going to make another move, though. I'm pretty sure of it at this point.
Yeah, I like the idea of Jurickson Profar because it doesn't break the bank, and they can kind of use him as a utility player all throughout their lineup, and it makes sense too, right? You got George Springer and Anthony Santander in the corners of the outfield. Well, you can bring in Profar to play some outfield and have them DH.
And one thing we didn't bring up at all is the fact that there's deferred money with this Anthony Santander contract. How much of that is deferred, we're not sure. In conclusion, though, everybody, we're all the way back. So if you like this signing, let us know your thoughts about this in the comments down below. Please hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, everybody. $3 a month become a Patreon membership. And thank you to all of our current Patreon members. You guys are awesome.
Guys, thank you so much for watching.
And as always, go Jays, go!